Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me for today's World Session, August 18th. So we're going to hop right into it. Take a nice deep breath. Make sure you're nice and comfortable when you're listening to the session, that you don't have any distractions pulling your attention away from yourself. And take a nice deep breath and sink into yourself. Be with yourself fully. And get nice and comfortable. All right. What I was thinking of doing for this world session is addressing trauma stuck within the body. We've all experienced one form of trauma or another throughout our lives, and even perceived trauma. So even if your view of your childhood is traumatic or view of your life is traumatic, that perceived trauma. So I'm going to just see where this leads us, because the trauma gets stuck within our bodies. It creates body armoring. It creates heaviness, dysfunction, miscommunication between our systems and our body parts. We get disconnected from our emotions, which are there to support us and actually help heal, and then disconnected from feeling. The thing is that you're not actually not feeling, you're always feeling, but there's an avoidance of it and hardening to it, I think. Oh, I don't want to feel, I don't want to feel. I don't want to emote, I don't want to feel my emotions, I don't want to feel my body, I don't want to feel what's happening. I don't want to be in my experience. And then the life experience is from that traumatic space trapped inside the body. And the first place that I'm going into, that it's bringing me into, is the midbrain, deep within the brain. Sorry. We're going into the cerebellum of the brain. Going quiet to see what it needs. It's not coming up. So we've got to just link the cerebellum to the nervous system. And then there's a glitch within the nervous system. It's working from an over heightened space. We're going to do a switching technique, bringing to relax the nervous system. Oh, nice. As soon as I do that, there's some kind of release. I just burped and my whole body is melting. My whole body is melting. It's becoming fully relaxed, nice and relaxed. All right, we're going to do that as the first link, cerebellum to the nervous system. A nice, simple link. The diaphragm is coming in now with all of this emotion. So the diaphragm knows how to synthesize and move emotions. That's its job. And there's all these plugged emotions within the diaphragm. It's so tight and it's sticky. And if the diaphragm is tight and we're not getting enough oxygenated blood to our organs or to our limbs, it makes everything contracted, and it can interfere with physical function of the body. You need the oxygenated blood to get to the organs and to get to the extremities. And then that circulation comes in and brings the deoxygenated blood back up to the heart and to the lungs, to be oxygenated and to be redispersed. But there is a gripping effect happening within the diaphragm. So you can just see how your breath is. Don't force it. Just see how you're breathing. Are you breathing from the upper lungs? Are you doing nice diaphragmatic breaths where the belly rises? But we're going to go into that diaphragm. We're going to do a few things here. We're going to do a circulation plug-in, sorry, blood, lymph, nerve, chi, and oxygen to, from, and within the diaphragm. Oh, I took a nice deep breath. We're going to do a biogenics of emotional release and buildup. And here's the trauma being stuck within the diaphragm. So we've got some traumatic events here from childhood. And it's a defense mechanism. So bracing against. So any kind of contraction, bracing against your parents or their reactions, bracing against teachers, bracing against being scolded, getting into trouble. And then I have to, the child I'm seeing ages from infancy, so age 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is coming in. So those ages, anytime bracing against. So you're just as a child in the flow of life, you feel everything, you're in tune with your emotions, just have an experience, anger comes up, the temper tantrum happens, or the anger expresses itself or comes out in a different way, and then the parents scold you, or even there's some shaming, shunning, scolding, even hits on the bum, and then to the more like really drastic physical, mental, emotional abuse, all trapped within that diaphragm. And then as adults, how do you do this to yourself? And then without blaming parents, propagate that to your own children and your own prodigy, and down the line it goes. And there's so much emotion and sadness in here. So I'm just gonna feel that and just let it go, so you can think about your own childhood, and this will transmute as it needs to. Just going to take a quiet moment. We're going to dump that through biogenics of an emotional release. Anger, sadness, grief. Bringing in the lungs for grief to release that, to support the letting go. The heart for sadness, and knows how to transmute the sadness, and bringing in liver and gallbladder to help release that rage, that anger. And all these organs are coming in to support this emotional release. A little stuck. There's some resentment coming in. So that's anger. That's pathological anger. It's resent, the stories, the information, the anger is resent and resent and resent. There it goes. I'm going to dump resentment from the diaphragm and blame, guilt, consciousness, and then a little bit that victim martyr going on. We're going to dump that from the diaphragm, because that's part of the stickiness. That's part of the pathology that's holding in on the diaphragm. That's basically not allowing or preventing or stunting the diaphragm from really doing his job. And it knows how to breathe fully, massages the organs, gets the oxygenated blood going, and it knows how to synthesize and release emotions, and knows how to do it. So we're going to link in here that dumping, but also it needs some support. So of oxygen is coming in, and oxygen and hydration. There we go. Gonna swoosh it. I'm gonna make it. It has to go around in this kind of vortex spinning direction. Clockwise, counterclockwise. Just need to bring in a vortex in there, especially for that well, not too much of one, just a gentle one, to kind of get a little speed up the water so it kind of moves around like this double helix, one in one direct, counterclockwise, clockwise, and kind of like this egg beaters movement through with oxygen and with, no, just with the hydration. Sorry, I'm losing my words, to really get in there and get into all the nooks and crannies. And it gets really most stuck in the back. Whoa, there's a lot in the back. So we're going to go to the spine, going into the back where the diaphragm meets the back. It's really sticky in there. So there's this belief system of I've always got to watch my back. No one is going to watch my back for me. I've got my own back. But it's kind of defensive. It's not in the place of, well, I take care of myself. I'm in service to myself. If I need protection, I protect myself, or I take practical action or get the help that I need. This is really your back. I've got my back up, or my back up's against the wall. And that's stuck in that diaphragm in the back. Got to release that. There's some serious body armoring happening in there. And this is going through 8th chakra, so down your lineage. So both sides, maternal and paternal, we're going to dump being betrayed. And then coming up with this defense mechanism. I can't trust anyone. I can't even trust myself. I always have to be on guard. And it feels like a big chunk of body armoring on the back that's impeding circulation. It's heavy on the spine. You can think of your own spine if you have back problems, scoliosis, or any kind of back distortion or spinal problems. It's really impeding on that spine. So I'm going to think of my own spine. You can think of your own and link that to your prefrontal cortex, and dumping any of those belief systems of I'm the only one, no one can be trusted. I've got to have my back up always. There are all those connotations or sayings in between, being stabbed in the back. And we're going back how many generations down the maternal and paternal line? Maternal first. So going down back 10 generations down the maternal line of backstabbing. We're going to dump that from the whole spine, but also specifically that where the back, the posterior diaphragm sits within the back, being stabbed, backstabbing on the maternal side. And now on the paternal side, we're going down further. We're going down 15 generations on the paternal side. And it's more of I can't trust anyone. So I've got my backup all the time. You've always got to have your backup. No one's going to have your back. And then in comes self-doubt. I don't even have my own back. Oh, and so there's big emotional release on that one. There goes some sadness, some grief, lots of grief coming out from the posterior diaphragm. And we've got to ground that in, and we're going to ground that into the root chakra, which has to do with family ties, anything mundane. So money, food, clothing, grounding, anything tangible. It also has to do with trust and self-preservation and survival. It's the chakra of the basic needs. And there's a repair that needs to happen within that root chakra. It's deep, 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 deep into the core of the chakra. There's shame and guilt. Shame and guilt. So we're going to dump shame and guilt from the root chakra, and then we're going to run a deep repair to it. So we're going to bring in some sacred geometry. And there's very much sadness in here. So much sadness. We're going to dump the sadness from the root chakra, bring in some sacred geometry and sing the flower of life, the seed of life. And also Metatron, Metatron's cube coming in to repair that. That's going to be plugged in for 7 days, and that's going to run on repeat, linking it to everyone's prefrontal cortex. And that's going to run as many times as it needs. And then bringing in some love. Some love. To harmonize and transmute shame and guilt out of the root chakra. Oh, and as I do that, I just see these roots growing through the legs and then out the soles of the feet and really anchoring into Mother Earth. There we go. I'm gonna tap that in right here. All right. There a further session? Yes, there's a further link. We're gonna do a hydration to the Wei Qi. It feels really crispy and a little bit too thin. So we're gonna repair the Wei Qi of the general body energy. So that means the Wei Qi within you, all of your cells have Wei Qi, organs, blood, lymph, nerve. Whoa, that was a big one. We're repairing the Wei Qi of those. We're repairing the Wei Qi of your water crystalline. So everything about you, your energy systems, the meridians, the organs, all of your 1,000 and million bits that make you a tangible person. We're running a hydration to all those parts. They feel crispy, and a repair to the Wei Qi. That needs to be linked into the small intestines for discernment. Because there's this weird happening within the Wei Qi. It's your natural protector. It protects against the environment, wind, cold. It's your natural protective layer. But then it's going into defensiveness because there's this place of, well, everything is dangerous. So we've got to link that into the gut and into the gut biome struggling a little bit. So we're going to bring in some vitamins. So just plugging in a general multivitamin in there to help support that gut, that enteric brain, that gut brain, so that discernment is happening quickly. It's not thinking, it's just a discernment. Good, bad, yes, no. Is this for me, not for me? For me, not for me. And not from a defensive space. Oof, I got dizzy just doing that one. And then we're going to link that into a 3 brains balancing. Balancing enteric brain to heart brain to head brain, and then looping back down head, heart, guts, and then doing a repair on each of those links so they're in good communication. Making sure that they're linked up, communicating, and that the links are not, that the modes of communication are fluid. Oh, there you go. That feels, just had some relief. Take a nice deep breath. All right, darlings, end of session. See you all next week.